Hi, welcome back to Pragmatic Agility. In this lesson, we're going to be taking a look at table expressions in SQL, specifically MySQL for this lesson, but table expressions exist in other database engines such as Microsoft SQL, and I believe IBM DB2 as well. Now, to perform this in MySQL, you'll need to be at MySQL version 8 or higher. A lot of default installations of MySQL will install version 5. I believe Ubuntu Linux will still install MySQL version 5 by default. And if you end up with that version of MySQL, you will not be able to use table expressions. Now, with that said, what are table expressions and what do they allow you to do? Well, prior to table expressions, some of your queries might have ended up with a bunch of subqueries in them that made the query look messy and difficult to read. Table expressions is a new way to organize your queries so that you can manage your ideas or concepts better within the parent query as you tie together table expressions at the bottom. To drive that point home, what I'm going to do is query the Acumatica database, and I'm going to query out the managers. Now, within this application, on employee information tables, there is no field that says is manager. So to get the managers, we actually have to look at employees and look at their supervisor field, which we can see on the EP employee table. I'm in dbeaver, by the way, which is an awesome free IDE for SQL that works across different types of databases. As you can see, I'm connected to Microsoft SQL Server and MySQL at the same time, and I can switch between those two at will and not have too much trouble doing so. Okay, with that said, if we're looking at the EP employee table, we can see that we have a field called supervisor ID. So let's go ahead and query that out real fast. So that was just a simple CTE at the top. So if we say select star from EP employee, spell it right, that's important. I'm going to go ahead and run this one. Make sure we got it. And we do. So now I'm going to select the supervisor ID. Okay. Now, what you'll notice is that we're getting a lot of repeats, like 2891, 2891, 2891 is repeating a lot. And that's because we have multiple employees that have the same supervisor. So if I try to just use this, what would happen if I was using it for a report for some coworkers or for some management? They would likely be annoyed by the fact that they were seeing the same supervisor repeat multiple times. So how do we do this? How are we going to handle this? Well, let's use a table expression. So we're going to say with managers as parentheses, and we're going to take this query, we're going to put it in this table expression start point. We're going to group by supervisor ID. Now, if you've worked in large databases, you'll know that there's usually something called a company ID, which is a way of them segregating data between companies or branches. So we'll go ahead and show what that would look like. So I know I'm using company ID too, because I don't want to accidentally mix my data from other companies. This is large databases typically have an ID such as this. Now, below here, if I say select star from managers. Now, I'm expecting that you have some experience with SQL so you know what the group by statement is doing. That is essentially going to take every record that's the same and make it one. So if it sees 2891 more than once, it will roll that into one record. So let's go ahead and run this. And there are all our managers. We've gotten rid of the duplicates. We have a null there. I don't think I want the null, so let's say and supervisor ID is not null. Let's go ahead and run that. Okay, now we got a clean list of distinct managers using what's called a surrogate key. This number doesn't really mean anything to someone looking from the outside in. It's just for the database to strictly track the data. Now, numbers that are good for people to look at that infer meaning are called natural keys. For example, social security number would be a natural key. But we're getting a little off topic now. The point is we've now made a table expression. This table is represented by this query. It's called managers. If we run it, we get the managers. Now let's say we wanted to get manager data out of here. Well, we need another table, and that's B account. So what we're going to do, we're going to select from managers. We're going to join B account BA on, let's go ahead and give managers an alias to MA. There we go. BA dot company ID. And let's go ahead and throw the company ID in here too, so that just ties together nicely. So company ID. Then we also need to group by the company ID. Okay, equal MA dot company ID. Now the IntelliSense for dviewer doesn't work well when we're using table expressions. And BA dot B account ID. I know that's the key I need. And that's just from experience that I know that. Supervisor ID. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this, make sure it runs. Yep, we're getting everything. So let's do this. Let's do BA dot B account ID as, well, we'll just leave that as B account ID, which I think stands for business account ID. And we'll say BA dot ACCTD, which I believe they use as the natural key. BA dot ACCT name, which is the person's name. And is that all we need? I think so. Now if we run this, and we have a list of our managers. We have a list of our managers with your business account ID, which is their surrogate key, their account CD, which is their natural key, and then their name, which is what fellow coworkers would recognize them as. Now we could take this and make it a view. This is just some bonus content here. Create view managers as, oh, not that, as this. And let's go look at our views. Refresh. Get rid of the filter at the top. It's tricked me numerous times. Get rid of that. Managers. Now if I click on managers, I have a virtual table that's just always that query, which is pretty nice. So let's look at the table expression part again. Now you can do more than one table expression in a query. You don't have to just have one. You could simply do, for example, comma, employees as, I'm not going to do anything with this. I'm just going to show that you could chain them together. Select star from EA account. I'm trying to keep this tutorial under 10 minutes. Company ID equals 2. Let me go ahead and run this. I'm not connecting this table expression to anything, so it's not going to change anything. And there we go. We still ran. So what is going on here? Let's just walk through it one more time. So we're using what's called a table expression. Using the syntax of the table expression, we create a virtual table called managers. This managers is reflected by the following query, which is us identifying within the application the storage of managers and then grouping by the company ID and the supervisor ID so that we get a nice clean list of that, of just one manager and no replicating managers or repeating manager info. We then take that virtual table or that table expression and we connect it to a regular physical table, business account or BA account, on the appropriate keys, the company ID and the account ID to the supervisor ID. We then display the information of the managers. Now we could use this for a report for some managers. We could use it as a way of isolating concepts within our application. We could use it for a number of reasons. Let me go ahead and get rid of this one useless tacked on table expression. So what the table expressions allow us to do is just better organize our query so that we can clearly see the ideas coming together. Instead of using a subquery for this, we can see that we use the table expression called managers. And with that name alone, I'm pretty much cued in onto what this query is doing, which is good. And then I join that managers table expression to the business account and get the data I want. So that completes this lesson. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a like or subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next lesson. Thank you.